Welcome to my first ever Q&A video. I'm going to be answering questions about my personal life, about my journey with music, and basically everything that gets you to know me a little bit better and not just, be a face of my music, but also as a person. I feel like that's super important. Like as a fangirl myself, I find that I'm not just a listener, I'm not just listening to music, but I'm also like connecting with the artist and creating really deep and impactful like parasocial relationships. So I kind of want to get to that starting point. And since I don't have a fan base yet, I just came up with questions that I feel like, can really let you know who I am as a person. Also, you probably have noticed that my hair is looking a bit crazy. I'm actually in my work break and I just took a shower, and my hair always looks really wild, especially in the front. So I do this to like shape it a bit more, because otherwise it literally goes like this in my face and it's horrible. So I always do it like this to give it some kind of shape as it's still drying. So bear with me. And also, you might have noticed I'm wearing my One Direction shirt that I bought back in 2013 or 14, I don't remember, at the 1D store when it first came to Portugal. So yes, first of all, I am Portuguese. I am 5 years old. I'm 25 years old and I was born and raised in Lisbon, but since then I am currently living in Netherlands. I have lived for a few months in England when I was studying marketing there, and I also lived a few months in Italy when I was doing work, international exchange type of program. And I've always loved traveling. I've always loved speaking not my own language. And I think that's actually a big thing about, being kind of a Gen Z in Europe, is that you have so much of like this like outside culture. So I think that did definitely shape me as an artist. But like we'll get into maybe some of these things as I answer these questions. So the first thing is like, when did you decide, when did you know you wanted to pursue music? And actually I remember that I wrote my first song ever when I was around 8 years old. I'm pretty sure I was already 8 years old at that time. I still have my journal from that time. Like literally I have proof of when I wrote that song, and it's really funny. It's very cheesy. At the time I was writing it in Portuguese because obviously like I didn't know how to speak English yet, so at 8 years old. But that was the first time I ever wrote a song, and it was inspired by like this Winx soundtrack song that was going on in one of the episodes that I was watching that day. And then I was singing it about like this guy I had a crush on. And I've always loved performing, with my family. We would always put on shows. Like we were many cousins around the same age as I am. I was like right in the middle, some were a bit younger, some were a bit older, but we would always like create like theatrical performances. Even in school we had like a theater at the end of every year. And so I always feel like I've loved being kind of like in the spotlight. But music specifically, that's definitely the first moment that I remember. Like I remember just really loving to sing. I remembered loving to sing, and that was the first song I ever wrote. And after that I just started doing that more and more. And eventually when I started learning English and really wanting to like be more global, because I was falling in love with like the culture from outside of Portugal, especially when One Direction became a thing. Like after that I don't think I ever wrote a Portuguese song ever again. I just started writing a lot in English, and obviously very badly. Like I barely even remember those songs, but it just kind of started that way. And I knew, like from that moment I knew, because before being a singer I used to say that I wanted to be a heart doctor. That definitely didn't last. After that, I was just like, I want to be a singer. Until I was 13, that's what I wanted. And I actually participated in the X Factor, or at least I auditioned, but I didn't go through. And I remember after that moment, I started saying like, actually, I don't want music anymore, and I want to go into management. And I just kind of like gave up a little bit on that dream. But like, wanting music from that moment, like it set me on such a path, because then I went to music school and I was there for like 8 years studying classical music, learning to play the violin, participating in choirs. And that definitely had like such an impact in me, and I learned a lot. Although I never had like specific vocal training, I think obviously like you'll learn a thing or two. But yeah, I think deep down, since I was 8, since I wrote that first song, I was just like, I want to do more of that. So I think that's when I knew. That's when I knew. Okay, what kind of music are you making? So obviously, I'm currently producing my first single ever. And as I told you, like, I've written many songs before, but this is the one that I want to put out there first because it really describes where I am right now, with like a mix of nostalgia and just, I'm someone who feels a lot, and I always have that in my music. Like, I literally wrote music as a coping mechanism my entire life. Like, if you go back to my songs, and I was thinking about it today actually, like, I would write about loneliness, about heartbreak, about, missing someone, things like that. And it was always a way for me to process life. I didn't know how else to do it. So I did it through music, through writing my own lyrics. And oh my God, you have no idea how many times I, cried in front of my piano, and I was just like improvising a song lyrics because that's how I felt. And I didn't know I felt that way until I said it out loud. So it's always been there, and I've always felt very deeply. And I have this side of me that sometimes I struggle to accept without music, right? The side of me that feels a bit deep and emotional and sometimes vulnerable and maybe broken. Like, music allows me to express that and feel less alone, or sometimes somehow like it makes me feel more seen, more like I belong, more like there's nothing wrong with me when I put it out there, when I put it or I express it through music. It really helps me feel like more held and less alone, even if I'm doing it just for myself. And so, where am I going with this? I think this current song is kind of a mix of where I am right now that I've done a lot of therapy and healing, and I'm single for the first time and forever, and I'm really like starting to feel more confident in myself. So there's like a level of sass, but there's also a level of like, that side of me. So it's kind of like these two worlds colliding, and I really, really love that. That's why I want this to be the first song to put out there. But a lot of the songs that are coming out in my upcoming album, which, if you're asking, I have no idea when it's coming out, but a lot of those songs are going to be songs that I've written over the years that I love, that I want to put out there because I'm so, like, honestly proud of them. Songs that I'm generally like, did I write that? That's so beautiful, right? Maybe I'm biased, but I have showed it to my producer and he seemed to agree. So I think there's definitely something there that makes them like really beautiful and special. And so that's where I'm going with music right now. Who knows? For like an upcoming album, I feel like my sound is going to continue evolving, and that's going to be really fun to, see, because it's been evolving since then. Obviously, like, the more I grow, the more I experience life, the more I'm also like shaping that into my music. And I feel like I am in this transition period because I've always written about, dating, heartbreak, love, like romantic love. And now, because I've been single for the past 3 years, I think that's going to be an interesting journey to see like how I write music now, and how like I'm gonna, express my feelings, my current reality through, music. So I think that's gonna like be a new sound. I think that's gonna be a very different like shape of what I'm used to singing about and talking and writing about. But I'm curious about it. To me, it's easy to write about love because I'm a romantic girl, but at the same time, I feel like there's like beauty in other places, and I want to bring that into music as well. How do you usually write your songs? Yeah, I mean, mostly I'm playing some chords either at the piano or my ukulele, and then kind of the music comes out. So I kind of improvise lyrics, and sometimes something comes up and I'm like, ooh, this is interesting, because I use it as my like therapy. I use it as my like journal. So I don't really think about what I'm saying until I'm saying it, and I usually record. That's the thing. Like, I'm always recording when I'm like playing something, because I know something good might come up from it. Other times it literally comes as like a download. Like, I think about like a lyrics, or I think about like a passage of like a chorus or something, or I think about a melody. But so yeah, usually like melody comes when I know the chords. If I'm not at the piano, then it either comes together, or if I think about like this beautiful phrase or something, I just put in my notes app. Again, I think the way I write is gonna be different now because I usually write when I'm depressed, but now I'm not depressed. So it's gonna be interesting to like write for other reasons besides dread. Like literally. What's your favorite song for the upcoming album so far? Good question. I love the Lulu, my single, the one that's coming out first and on July 31st. Um, but also I'd say there's this specific ballad that I love. That's called, what am I calling it? Loving Too Much. Yeah, I think that's the name I gave the song. Loving Too Much. It's like a ballad song. I don't know why, but I think it's just so beautiful. So like I love the lyrics of the song. And I think a lot of people are gonna relate to it. So I'd say those two are my favorite ones, and they're very different from each other. But I'm very excited for people to hear it in a more like highly produced way because I sing it at open mics and people seem to really like it. But like it's gonna be a different experience to hear it in public, or no, I mean on Spotify. All of that. What's your current go-to song or album? Oh my god, like album specifically, Midnight Sun by Zara Larsson. Like I'm obsessed. I've been with that album on repeat every time I want to hype myself up or I'm getting ready or I'm going somewhere. Why did a spider just like what? Okay, universe. 100% that one. I'd say that's my go-to, but I'm also always obsessed with, right now listening to Harry's new album with Disco All the Time, Kiss Occasionally, and Louis. Shit, I forgot the name of the album. Louis' new album as well. Like I absolutely love it. Why can I not remember? Oh, How Did I Get Here? I was like, why can't I remember the name of the album? I just went to his concert. Love those two albums. I think they're super fun. They're very different. That's what I love about, One Direction. Now being solo artists. I mean, of course, I miss my boys, but it's fun to also like be able to listen to so many, different styles of music within like these five boys. How do you interact with music in your everyday life? I really wanted to put this question in because I think for everyone is different, but I love listening to music. I see music as like the soundtrack to my life. So I love to use music to like hype myself up, but I also love to use music as like, if I'm feeling a certain way, I want my music to match that feeling because it's almost like it's validating it. It's like making space for that feeling to exist. Like I cannot tell you the amount of times I've put like I have so many playlists by the way, and I have an entire like It's Okay to Cry playlist that I put on, and sometimes I just speak out loud as if like let's say I'm having this like argument with someone. I will like literally speak as if I'm talking to this person and like enact the whole thing while I'm listening to this song. And usually it's Another Love. On Another Love. Like that song is literally my go-to if I need to express like some kind of sadness mixed with anger. That's my holy grail. Love that. So yeah, I'd say I use it mainly as like a soundtrack to my life. I love it. But music just inspires me. I just love listening to music. I love listening to different artists, different sounds. I just don't know how to exist without it, honestly. What artists made you fall in love with music? Oh my god, so many. I'd say like, because when I was a kid, I used to literally sit, watch my TV on like MTV, VH1, or things like that, and I would literally sit there just watching those music videos. And at the time, it's more like Rihanna, Beyonce, like If I Were a Boy. Oh my god, I listened to that song to the left, so many times. Like I love that. I love that era, and I just remember like sitting down. Like I wasn't watching cartoons or Disney Channel. I was just watching music videos. Like it was the best thing in the world. I'd say artists specifically, obviously One Direction, like really made me see like seeing their journey on X Factor. I remember seeing them like maybe a year later or when they started getting a bit more hyped. So I discovered them like after What Makes You Beautiful, or during What Makes You Beautiful got released. and seeing their journey on X Factor. I've been watching X Factor since I was a kid anyways. Like I loved it. I love watching those shows. Um Although at times it made me feel like maybe I would never be good enough because damn, some singers there were incredible. But I watched their journey there, and it was beautiful. It was so inspiring to me, and so emotional as well. I remember when they put them together as a band, that first moment, like where they hug each other and they're celebrating, like I cried so much. And deep down it's because like I saw them, but I also saw myself in them, or my desires in them. And I think they definitely impacted me a lot. Like as artists, even seeing them live for the first time back in 2013, I just remember thinking like I'm loving this, but I can also imagine myself there, and like the echo and the arena of like all the voices singing this one song together. That was my first like official concert experience. That shaped me forever. Like I'll never forget everyone just singing together, and it was beautiful. Like I had chills all over my body, and I want to have that feeling as an artist as well. I think that's the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. Hopefully, as I get bigger and bigger and people start discovering me, and one day I can sell out my own arenas, like that's the feeling that I really look forward to, like experiencing. And I can imagine that's like, oh my god, the best thing. What's your dream collaboration? I mean, do I need to say more? Zara Larson as well. I'd love that. If I could bring back an old one, I'd say Rihanna as well, 100%. Like, oh my god, that would be so fun. Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, I really like them. I think they're like completely different genres. Well, not genres, but like, vibes. But I really feel like it would be really cool to collaborate with them. All of the boys, that's like absolute dream. Like, oh, Ariana Grande, oh my god, Ariana Grande, yes. I think these are also the artists that really inspire me on a daily basis. Like I just love their sounds, I love how they create music. I think it's really fun, very distinct from like each other, and that just makes me feel like everything is possible, and like there's no limit to what I also can create, hopefully.